Isn't it annoying when the Shia scholar on the pulpit spews their nonsense only to attempt to give it authenticity by claiming certain parts of their story is found in Sunni narrations? Now, of course, most of the time they cherry pick a Sunni narration to support their fabricated narrative, as we've seen time and time again with many of the videos on our channel. However, Mehdi Madarasi takes this to a new low. What he does is he spews his nonsense on the pulpit and then attributes it to Ahl Sunnah to give it authenticity, when in fact it has nothing to do with Ahl Sunnah. Let's have a look.
And leave you to think about Imam al-Hadi and to plead to the Imam to enlighten you with his gnosis, to get to know the Imam better, inshallah. One day, Al-Mutawakkil invites an Indian sorcerer all the way from India, brings him to Iraq at his own personal expense, so that this sorcerer would come and, using magic and trickery and sorcery, he would humiliate the Imam in public. The Indian sorcerer comes. He says to Mutawakkil that the best way for us to do this is for you to call for a banquet, a large invitation, and invite the nobles of the city, invite the rich and famous and the celebrities, so that they could all watch what I have to show. So this banquet is announced, people come. The Indian magician says to Mutawakkil, place loaves of bread in front of Imam al-Hadi. So the loaves of bread are placed. As soon as the Imam starts, he extends his hand to take a bite of the bread jumps up and down. Because the Indian magician could play this trick, right? The Imam, people, kind of start giggling. The Imam extends his hand again to grab a loaf of bread. Again, the loaf jumps up and falls down. So people start laughing. Silly, silly ways of challenging God on top of his throne. So, the loaf of bread jumps up and down a few times and people have a good laugh about it. In Ziyarat al-Jama', to put this into context, in Ziyarat al-Jama' there's an amazing portion which says, وَأَمْرُهُ إِلَيْكُمْ. God's command is in your hand. Right? What is God's command? أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونَ. God's command is when He says, be, and it is. أَمْرُهُ مَا بَيْنَ الْكَافِ وَالنُّونِ. He doesn't even have to say be, and it is. So these commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the power of God is given to these people. The third time the loaf of bread jumps up and down, there's a painting with a lion on it. Al-Rawandi, who's a Sunni historian. This is not a Shia hadith, so that people start having doubts. This is a Sunni hadith, and it's accepted by both Sunnis as well as Shia. There's a painting with a giant lion drawn on it. The Imam looks at that lion. He says to him, alayka bih. And he points at this Indian sorcerer. He says, get him. Now, again, to put this into context, Musa, what did he do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him, throw that cane of yours, that wooden stick, and it turns into a serpent. It turns into a dragon or a snake or whatever you want to call it, right? Of course, Musa was a little bit afraid at first, but here's the thing. The cane is a three-dimensional object, and it kind of looks like a snake as well. You throw a cane, from afar at least, it looks like a snake. The Imam didn't turn a three-dimensional object. The Imam pointed to a painting, a two-dimensional object, a bunch of color on a canvas. He said, alayka bih. The painting of a lion turned into an actual roaring beast of an animal, jumped out of the painting, ate the Indian sorcerer with one bite, and everyone was astonished to the point that some of them fell unconscious.
Superstitious khurafat.
Quite the narration. I know, an Indian sorcerer comes to challenge the Imam, who gets a painting of a lion and turns it into a real lion, and it eats this Indian sorcerer. And then Madarisi says, this is an accepted Sunni narration. Of course, it isn't, he's lying. Number one, Madarisi mentions that this was narrated by someone called Ar-Rawindi. Ar-Rawindi was a 6th century Qummi historian. He's Shi'i, he's not Sunni. Number two, this narration is not accepted by Ahl Sunnah. Okay, so what Madarisi is doing, he's spewing his nonsense and he's attributing it to Ahl Sunnah to try and give it some weight. Also, apart from this being a fabrication, and Madarisi citing dubious sources and attributing it to Ahl Sunnah, if you are a truth seeker, pay attention. As you've heard, Madarisi believes the Imam created a lion to eat an opponent. Of course, we believe in miracles, but where was this miracle testified? Where are the witnesses? And look at what the Imam is supposedly using his superpowers for. The Indian sorcerer tries to trick the Imam and humiliate him, so the Imam creates a lion to eat him. Where are the Imam's priorities when using these powers? What about the munafiq, kafir caliphs who usurped Ali and misguided the Ummah? Where was the Imam's lion then? What about when men took their turns to beat up the wife of the Imam in his home? Where was the lion then? No, we only use magic lion to take revenge on the Indian prankster. Also, miracles are performed in public as a sign of divine appointment, as we saw with the prophets of Allah do, splitting the moon, opening the sea. But with the Imams, why are the miracles always in private? In front of a few friends, to a couple of secret followers, in the home of a caliph. These are nothing but fabricated superstitions to over-exaggerate with these personalities, to raise them to the rank of something that they simply were not. The Imams were undoubtedly great and were a part of the progeny of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the 12 Shia scholars and the hadith narrators have exaggerated them to ludicrous levels to justify their heresy. And as you'll find in this series, he lies again and again and again. And we want an explanation.